The question is, are you in reasonable, objective fear, and are you in subjective fear for imminent death or bodily injury to yourself or someone immediately present, or if you're a police officer in the commission of your lawful duties to the public generally? And this woman is a danger to at least one, if not three officers, one possible civilian, and the public generally. She is. She's a fleeing felon in a motor vehicle, moving at high speed.
Fight, 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 fight.
Hypocrisy.
We're going to watch the most important video that matters here, which is the one from the angle which shows the officer getting hit. This is key to what's going on. So, ICE agents exit the car. They're going up to her for whatever reason. We don't actually know at this point. I haven't seen a stated reason for their approach of this vehicle. It's entirely possible that they are approaching this vehicle because this woman is impeding with her vehicle an ICE operation, interfering with the operations of federal law enforcement officers in the commission of their duties is illegal and justifies them arresting and detaining you and potentially charging you with a crime. You can't do this. That does not make this a traffic stop. She was not driving down the road and they put on their sirens because she swerved over the midline, okay? This is not a traffic stop in the way we think of a traffic stop. And if you could negate federal jurisdiction by entering a car, we would have a mockery of a legal system anyway. So stop with that shit right away. None of this matters because wrongful or not, these officers approach her and issue a lawful order to her, presumptively lawful. It could be found later to be unlawful, and she would have had a case were it so. Get out of the car. Get out of the car. All right? Officer goes up. Get out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the fucking car. That's more specific. Just in case there was a question about which car it was, it's the fucking car. Now, he goes and he grabs the door handle. She starts backing up. Right now, this woman is resisting arrest. You can't do this. Potentially putting that officer into threat of death or serious bodily harm. He is touching a vehicle. She is moving the vehicle. Automatically now, backing up. This is unlawful activity, which may justify a use of force. And this is critical right here because the officer who is shooting, who will end up shooting, is watching her drive while another officer is in contact with this car. Another officer is next to the car. I believe there's an officer coming over to the other side of the car. There's also bystanders. This person videoing is in the potential path of a vehicle that is going in reverse with its tires turned to the left. That vehicle's ass will come right at this camera if she keeps backing up. This is part of the analysis. And people are overlooking this, or who are saying she backed up, therefore she wasn't trying to run the officer over. And someone dumb did say that. Sorry, her backing up is not good because her duty under the law at this point is to remain stationary and get out of the car. She can say, I don't want to get out of the car. They will open the door and extract her. She may be in the right. She does not have the subsequent right to back up or go forward at this point. And any doing so is a violent act against anyone in the vicinity. I do not think a cop should fire at her at this point. Arguments could be made, but the imminence isn't quite there, because even though I said the ass of this car could run directly at this camera the way the wheels are turned if she backed up, that's not actually happening. We're not imminent yet. It could turn imminent very fast, but it doesn't. Something changes. She puts it into drive. We're going to watch in just a second. No! Now, I don't know if you saw that. Now, this lady yelling no is correct, but here we go. This happens very quickly as she starts to back up and then stops. We see the ICE agent come in front of the car. Not one of these two chaps, another agent, presumably from this vehicle. No! There, right here. Here's this person, okay? You can see them more clearly now. There's an ICE agent clearly in front of her vehicle, within feet of it. If this woman puts this car in drive and drives towards that officer, full stop, deadly weapon, which is the car, imminent. She's within feet of this person. And it does not take hardly any level of actual velocity in this car, because it weighs so much, to transfer a tremendous amount of force into a human body or body part. Oh, no! There it is. Much is being said about this because her wheels. Now, granted, we are from behind and can actually see the wheels. And I want to point something out. The officer who fires has already drawn his gun. He draws it the moment she goes into drive, but not before. Let's watch again. No! He has not drawn his weapon yet. Her reverse is now off. Watch her move forward and him draw. He draws that weapon after she moves forward. Now we can see that there's a person over here as well. This person is similarly in danger. This person does not look like an agent, I don't believe. This looks like a civilian, but I could be wrong. He has now drawn his gun. This happened. We're gonna watch this in real time in a second, because this is important to do as well. Everybody wants to break this down frame by frame and do a lot of pauses and go in slow motion and all that, and we will, we're doing that. But we're also going to watch it full speed. That's critical to the analysis, because the officer doesn't have the benefit of a pause, a camera shift, or slow motion. He has to react in real time. Oh, shit! That officer fires the first shot while being struck by the car. Now, when I say he's struck by the car, he does not appear injured. I'm not saying he's dying or launched into the snowbank like in the Karen Reed trial or something crazy. He's just hit by the car. I don't know if he's harmed or not. Doesn't look like it. He doesn't need to be. He fires as he's being hit. Get out of the fucking car. No! No! Shit! Shit! 3 shots are fired. This is where the use of force analysis ends, period. That car goes on to hit it keeps accelerating and hits other cars. I cannot attribute that continued acceleration or the erratic driving or anything other to than the fact that the woman is dying. So we're not going to say that anything beyond this moment happens. And this is critical because Minnesota courts, and we're talking under Minnesota law here because the feds aren't going to prosecute this guy. Well, they may, but probably not. Minnesota courts would be the likely prosecuting agency, and they have said that the moment of the use of force is the critical moment. That's what matters. Without the benefit of hindsight. That's in the law. That's not the statute. That's the common law interpretation of these courts. No hindsight. You don't get to look back on the issue. You have to see what the officer was under the impression of at the time the trigger is pulled. This isn't political. This isn't ICE versus someone else. This isn't federal government versus state. This is a guy doing his job, whether he's doing it right or wrong or whatever, doesn't, like, if he was doing it completely wrong, it might matter. In this case, I mean, if the job he's having to do is right or wrong morally, should ICE be in Minnesota? ICE has the authority to be in Minnesota, so they can be. All right? He's in the lawful commission of his duties. He has to do something egregiously removed from his duties to not be justified in doing what he's doing. He's doing that. This is now about the guy being accused of murder. And this is, again, difficult for people when the government is the accused murderer, but it's not the government. ICE isn't accused of killing this lady. That guy is accused of killing this lady. That guy will go on trial. A government will try to prosecute that guy if they try. And that puts him firmly in the seat of the defendant. And all other considerations go away. And they necessarily must. We cannot prosecute this guy because we don't want ICE in Minnesota. That is not fair to that guy. Resolve your issues with the federal government some other way. You don't get to prosecute a federal agent who's a person with their own life doing their job unless they act egregiously outside of the scope of that job. He has not done that here. J. Pole says he wasn't hit, just scared. I've got news for you. He was hit. He was hit. He was hospitalized. Now, I assume the hospitalization was a pro forma hospitalization for an examination following being struck by a vehicle. And I would assume that he's found to not have sustained any major injury. That doesn't matter. That is post hoc. That is after the shooting to determine that he did not sustain injury. But I'm going to do you one better. Even if he wasn't hit, he is 100% justified in making this shoot. You cannot drive when an officer is in front of your car. You can't. You do not have justification to do so. Oh, they were trying to get in her car. Yeah, I get it. I don't want the cops opening my door either. But guess what? This isn't where you get to fight that. It's not the rule of the streets. We gave that to the government. We said we don't want the rule of the streets. In fact, we want police. Now, you can not like that all day, but that's the system that every civilized society lives under. All of them. All of them have this. You cannot attempt to run over an officer. That is not allowed. I don't understand why anyone is struggling with this concept. Do people think that if you disagree with the officer, you can just drive? Now, what people want to do, because they started to, at first they said the shots were fired from the side window, and then there's a big fucking bullet hole right in the front window, in the windshield. So they started getting blown out on that because the officer fires the first shot into the front windshield and then the second two shots into the window or into the side of the vehicle. They want to say that those second two shots are unjustified. They're still justified here. This officer has no reason to believe that the threat that this person poses is over at this point, at the time he fires those three shots, which it's important to remember all happens within, I think, 2 seconds of time. Oh, but the agency handbook says that they're not supposed to stand in front of vehicles. It doesn't matter. Because the answer is not, I guess you just have to die then. This is use of force, justifiable, deadly force. Okay, so the question is the person in imminent fear of death or serious injury? Okay, if they're in fear But your justification is, well, you shouldn't have been standing there. That doesn't negate their fear. That doesn't change the circumstances that they are reasonably in fear of imminent death or bodily injury. Sorry, you're in front of a car. Guess you just get fucking run over then. That's not how it works. You can't provoke violence towards yourself. You can't say, hit me and so I can fucking shoot you. You can't do that. But you can't go, shouldn't have been in the bar or that alley. So much so that if you are illegally carrying a firearm, you can be justified in your use of deadly force with that firearm and still be convicted of carrying the firearm illegally. But you'll be acquitted of the murder because justifying a use of deadly force, we recognize that someone is reasonably afraid for their own life or the life of someone else, sufficient to justify the taking or attempt taking of another life. We don't go to these things like, well, there's a handbook that says he shouldn't be in front of the car. Oh, I guess he just dies then. Think through the fucking thing. This is not hard. This is not unintuitive. It's actually the most intuitive thing ever. Here we have my man, Andrew Branca. The driver need not be a threat to the officer who fires the shot. The officer can shoot to stop a fleeing felon endangering all in the vicinity, as this driver was. Lawful shoot. Andrew's 100% right here, and this is what I'm talking about. When a fleeing felon is endangering anyone, and they don't actually have to be endangering someone, the officer has to reasonably believe they are a danger to the public. That justifies a shoot. This shoot is justified prior to that. We don't have to get there. And I know Branca knows this, but he's just accepting the argument and going, yeah, it doesn't even matter though, because this doesn't have to happen. He has this other justification. But he's justified in shooting in the first place on his own behalf, of course, because the analysis is obvious. Nina Infinity says a felon, that's a stretch, isn't it? Let me see. Here we go, Nina. I'll show you. Fleeing officer motor vehicle. This is Minnesota statute 609.487 subdivision 3. Whoever by means of a motor vehicle flees or attempts to flee a peace officer who is acting in the lawful discharge of an official duty, and the perpetrator knows or should reasonably know the same to be a peace officer, is guilty of a felony and may be sentenced to imprisonment for not more than 3 years and 1 day, or to payment of a fine of not more than $5,000, or both. The answer to your question is yes. A fleeing person in a car is automatically a fleeing felon, and therefore the felony analysis is complete at that point. Not if convicted. At the point you are fleeing, you are guilty. Everyone making the claim that she was merely trying to get away from the ICE officer, she is fleeing a police officer in a motor vehicle. That is a felony. Someone tweeted the front view to me. Okay, let me see. Let's take a peek, shall we? Okay, well, I think it's going to play in slow motion, but he clearly gets hit. Like, I hope you see that. It happens really fast right over here. Okay, so now we have 2x speed. So this is the officer in question. This is the officer who discharges the firearm. This is the officer who is potentially struck by a vehicle. Contact has been made at this point. He is struck by the vehicle. There's no question about it. This is straight out the gates, contact by a vehicle. Elder Scrolls says, and it's her fault. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. This is a tempting thing in use of force analysis that it's a trap that people fall into. It's a trap. She doesn't matter. Her thoughts, her feelings, her fault, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it was an accident. If she accidentally drove forward at a police officer, it doesn't matter. Get the Rock from Wycliffe. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It will never matter. It doesn't matter what she felt, thought, meant, intended, wanted to do, tried to do. Maybe she was trying to back up. Maybe she was trying to put it in neutral, but she panicked and hit the gas. It doesn't matter ever. It doesn't matter because the person is not condemned to die based on what the other person meant. The question is, are you in reasonable, objective fear, and are you in subjective fear for imminent death or bodily injury to yourself or someone immediately present, or if you're a police officer in the commission of your lawful duties to the public generally? And this woman is a danger to at least one, if not three officers, one possible civilian, and the public generally. She is. She's a fleeing felon in a motor vehicle, moving at high speed. Lars Larson says, imminent does not mean something that already happened in the past. What are you talking about? This all happens in the same moment for the purposes of the law. This happened all within 2 to 5 seconds of time. You don't get to go, he was hit, he's not hit now. He's shooting while he's in contact with the car. What happened in the past? What are you talking about? Not in the same moment. Time is linear. Time is technically moment to moment. And yes, it linearly progresses, although physics is working really hard to reverse it. Stop. They're not talking about microsecond to microsecond. They're talking about the reality of someone who's being struck by a vehicle in real time, firing because the person is continuing to drive. What are you talking about? It's not like he got hit and shot her 45 seconds later, or he shot at her as she's driving away, which he would still be justified because she's a fleeing felon. I don't know how else to say it. If you don't like it, I get it. This isn't about what we like or don't like. It's about what fucking is. Take your would'ves and should'ves and shove them into his shoe. It doesn't matter. Just like the woman and her intentions and aspirations and her kid and all this shit. None of that matters. A person is not condemned to die because of what someone else wants to happen. Only what is happening, what they reasonably perceive.